Hello, my name is Dr. Yaya Sissoko. Today we're going to talk about Chapter 16, Monopolistic Competition, between monopoly and perfect competition. We have several types of market of imperfect competition. The imperfect competition market are between perfect competition and monopoly. So this type of market, example of this type of market are oligopoly and monopolistic competition. So what is an oligopoly? Oligopoly, you have few sellers, between 2 and 10, and there's often similar or identical product. Example of oligopoly would be car maker in the US. Okay, we have few automaker, cell phone company, cell phone service provider in the US, for instance, those are those are oligopoly. Or PEP, organization of exporting, petroleum countries are also an example of oligopoly. The concentration ratio determines if the market is an oligopoly or not. Concentration ratio is determined by the percentage of total output in a market supplied by the four largest, firms. In the US, we have so highly concentrated industry. One example would be electric lamp bulbs, where the top four industry provides 75%, in the industry. Breakfast cereal, the top four, the share of the of the market 80%. Aircraft for manufacturing, it's 81%. Laundry household laundry equipment is 98%. Cigarette, it's 98%. So now let's focus on monopolistic competition. What are the characteristics of monopolistic competition? In a market of monopolistic competition, you have many sellers, so they sell different product differentiation, and they are not price taker, meaning they are price maker, they can charge higher prices. So this means that they have a downward sloping demand curve. So also meaning that price is always greater than marginal cost. So they have free entry and exit. If you are in this industry, you're making profit, or the business can enter, and exit freely the market. They also have zero economic profit in the long run, like in the case of perfect competition. Figure one talk about the four types of market structure. So, and then these four types of market structure would depend on the number of firms and the type of product. So economists who study industrial organization divide the market into four types: monopoly, oligopoly, monopolistic competition, and perfect competition. So if you say monopoly, so you have only one firm. So if there is only a single seller, a single producer for that market. Example is tap water or cable TV. Okay. Another example of monopoly also in the US could be, so Microsoft Windows. So oligopoly on the other end that we're going to talk about in chapter 17, you have few firm. Two, if it's two, we call that duopoly. If it's three or up to 10, it's oligopoly. Example would be the tennis ball, cigarette, for instance. Okay, those are oligopoly. Automaker in the US are also oligopoly. So and so now if you have differentiated product. So again, you can see that monopoly, we talk about that in chapter 15. Oligopoly, we're going to talk about in chapter 17. Those are based on the number of firms. So then if you have many firms now, it's going to be based on the type of product. So if the product are differentiated, if the seller are selling different product, Then we call that monopolistic competition. Chapter 16, we're going to talk about that in this chapter. Example will be novel, so the market of novel, you have several writers, so the market of movies also, you have several movies. Okay, the market of fast food restaurant in the US, you have several restaurants in that sense. So the product are differentiated. The book would be different, the movie would be different too in that sense. So perfect competition, we talk about that in chapter 14. So the markets for wheat, cereal here, you can see, or milk also, the product are almost identical in that sense. So so those are the four type of market. So what is the short-run equilibrium for monopolistic competition? In the short run, monopolistic competition will maximize profit and produces the quantity where marginal revenue equal to marginal cost. So, and then you go up to find the price on the demand curve. So if price is greater than the average total cost, the monopoly is making profit. If price is less than the average total cost, the monopoly is losing money, it's a loss, it's a negative profit. So this is similar to the one we find for monopoly. Figure number two to deal with monopolistic competitor in the short run. So panel A talk about firm makes profit. So we know that monopolistic competition maximizes profit whenever marginal revenue equal to marginal cost, and then the two cross right here, and you go up, you go down first of all to find the quantity that will maximize profit. You go up all the way to the demand to find the price, that monopolistic competition will charge. We know that in this case, panel A, the firm is making profit because the price here is greater than the average, total cost, and the shady area right here is going to be the profit. Okay, so we remember that in chapter 15 or 14, to compute the profit, you take the price minus the average total cost time the quantity that will maximize the profit. So on the other end, panel B firm is making losses because you can see that so at the maximum profit where marginal revenue and marginal cost or cross. So you can see that you go down to find the quantity that will maximize the profit. You go up to find the pricing. So the price right here is up to the demand. The price P is less than the the average total cost. Because price is less than average total cost, the monopoly is losing money. It's a loss. The area here is the shade area here would be the loss. So, and then to find the loss, we take the loss per unit, which is ATC minus the price time the quantity. That's the total loss in that sense. So how do you determine the long run equilibrium for monopolistic competition? So if firms are making profit in the short run, new firm will enter the market, incentive to enter in the market increase, and then so there is an increase in number of product. So this will reduce the demand faced by each firm. So the demand curve will shift to the left. Each firm profit will decline until zero. So zero economic profit. Again, zero economic profit doesn't mean that the business is not making profit. It could be that accounting profit could be positive, but yet if you include the implicit cost, then the company is making zero economic profit. Figure number 3 display a monopolistic competitor in the long run. So you can see that in the monopolistic competitive market, if a firm are making profit, new firm will enter and the demand curve for the incumbent firm will shift to the left. Similarly, if firms are making losses, some of the firm in the market exit and the demand curve of the remaining firm shift to the right. So you can see that so because of this shift, monopolistic competition and equity firm eventually find themselves in the long run equilibrium show in the graph. Or in the long run, price equal to average total cost, and each firm is earning zero economic profit. So that's what you see in the long run, price equal to average total cost. And then so at this point, you can see that margin. So marginal margin. So you can see that marginal revenue, which is cost of the marginal cost. And at this point, if you go up to the demand to find the price, you see price exactly equal to the average total cost in that sense. So the firm are making zero economic profit in the long run. So in the long run equilibrium, the firm are making zero economic profit, so demand curve are tangent to the average total cost. So at that quantity where marginal revenue equal to marginal cost, also price equal to the average total cost, but price exceed marginal cost because monopolistic competition firms are price maker, they can charge higher prices than the marginal cost. They have a they have they have a power to influence the price of the product. So if you compare monopolistic competition to perfect competition, we can see that in a monopolistic competition market, quantity is not at the minimum but the average total cost. So meaning then for monopolistic competition there is excess capacity because price is greater than marginal cost. So the difference is the markup over the marginal cost. That's the profit that firm can make in the monopolistic competition market. In the case of perfect competition, so the quantity is at minimum of average total cost. So it's efficient scale and price is exactly equal to marginal cost. They are price taker. They cannot overcharge, so the price, so of the good. Figure number 4 display the case of monopolistic competition and the case of perfect competition. Panel A talk about monopolistic competition firm, and panel B talk about perfectly competitive firm. So we can see that there are two main differences in these two panels. The first one is the perfectly competitive market firm are at efficient scale where the average total cost is minimized. So by contrast, monopolistic competition film produce it at less than efficient scale. You can see that from, so here the monopolistic competition produces at a quantity which is less than efficient in a scale, and the difference between these two is excess capacity. So the second difference between the two, so is price equal to marginal cost and the perfect competition, but price is above marginal cost and the monopolistic competition. You can see that in the case of perfect competition, price equal to marginal cost and also equal to the minimum of the average total cost. So the firm are making zero economic profit in the long run, and which lead to efficient scale. But for monopolistic competition, you can see that the price is above marginal cost. The difference is going to be the profit they can make in that sense in the long run by monopolistic competitive firm.